Good afternoon, everyone. This is Module 4 Introduction, and I would like to start out this short video with a riddle. We're going to have a little linguistics fun here. And the riddle is, how is this song, the skeleton dance song, connected to Module 4? And I'm just going to play a little bit of it for you.
Dancing bones and bones and bones and dancing bones and bones and bones and dancing bones, doing the skeleton dance. The foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the knee bone's connected to the thigh bone, doing the skeleton dance.
Okay, I wish I could have played the video for you, but the way I record these, it doesn't let me show you a video. So, what do you think? How was that song connected to Module 4? Here's a hint. The adjective is connected to the noun, and the noun is connected to the verb. Answer? Syntax and the study of grammar. So a sentence is generally described as a unit that is grammatically complete and semantically independent. Sentences have to follow certain structural rules in order to make sense. So it's much like our skeletal system that needs to be formed in a certain order to support the human body. So a definition of syntax is the study of grammatical relations between words and other units within the sentence. So our unit objectives and outcomes are: demonstrate a working knowledge of syntactic structures, describe syntactic relations in sentences, be able to create engaging syntactic materials for our English language learners, and I'd like to stress that you are not going to be expected to diagram sentences. So when we think about different languages, we can kind of compare them to different skeletal systems. So syntax and sentence organizations can be very different in different languages. The bones of languages are not all the same. They don't look the same. They're not put together the same. So when we compare the human body skeletal system to a cat skeletal system, it could be like comparing English to Spanish or Spanish to Russian. So the bones are differently. So for instance, in Spanish, the adjective order is different. In Spanish, the adjective comes after the noun. And I know a lot of you already know that, but what is important for this course is we need to be cognizant that Spanish-speaking students might struggle with that. They might have problems with remembering the adjective comes before the noun in English. For example, in this simple slide, the red house. The adjective comes before house, whereas in Spanish, it comes after.
So sentences are made up of smaller segments. There are several different types of segments or phrases that can be used in a sentence: a noun phrase, a verb phrase, and a prepositional phrase. When I taught this class in the spring, we did spend some time practicing diagramming sentences. And I would suggest that you try it and practice it a little bit too. I know you're super busy, but I do think it helps us understand how words come together to form sentences that make sense in the English language. And I also think it helps us learn how to teach it more effectively to our students. I thought, though this is not an exciting, fun video, it does a great job of walking you through how to diagram simple sentences. And this is the video that we used in my class in the spring. And I recommend, if you're interested in it or you do want to practice diagramming sentences, I think this video is a great resource. It is also linked in your module.
So when we think about diagramming sentences, it's really not something that we see as often taught in the classroom. And two engaging and effective methods for teaching grammar in a similar fashion, but is a little bit more engaging and a little bit more, shall we say, fun for students, is sentence generating and sentence combining. These are not new ideas. These have been around for a long time, but they've really gotten much more usage in the classroom just within the last few years. So sentence generating is the first one I would like to very briefly show you an example of. It promotes students to focus on improved writing at the sentence level or the paragraph level. By improving sentences, we improve overall writing ability. So an example of this would be, the purpose for this particular activity would be, my instructional purpose would be using adjectives. So what I might instruct students to do is say, okay, I want you to write an 8-word sentence using the word owl in the 4th position and two words describing the owl in the 2nd and the 3rd position. So what I'm doing here is I am identifying a noun, and then I'm asking my students to think of adjectives that would describe that noun. So we're generating sentences based on positions, the position of the words in the sentence, and helping them identify the parts of speech. So an example sentence might be, so my sentence that I generated would be, the big brown owl flew to the tree. So I've got an 8-word sentence. I've got owl, the noun, in the 4th position, and I've inserted 2 adjectives in the 2nd and the 3rd position. And so in teaching my students about adjectives, I have helped them generate a sentence, an authentic sentence, that helps them understand those parts of speech. So then if I wanted to supersize this, I might say, okay, now add 2 more words to your sentence to describe another noun you used. So in that case, the tree would be the other noun, and so I would insert giant and pine. So now I have a 10-word sentence with 2 nouns, 4 adjectives, and if I wanted to go even further, I could have them identify the verb. These are always good to use in context, in relating them to something that you are learning in science or social studies or with your read aloud, always making it connect to other curriculum areas that you're working on. Sentence combining is also fun. It focuses on improved writing at the sentence level or at the paragraph level, and it helps students learn how to write those compound, complex sentences. So for example, if my learning goal was to write a compound sentence, my instructions to my students might be, combine the following 2 simple sentences using a fan voice to create a compound sentence. So I would have this as an anchor chart in my classroom, what fan boys were, and I would say, okay, combine the cat is fat and the dog is thin into a compound sentence. So what students might create would be, the cat is fat, but the dog is thin. So vocab for Module 4 is pretty intense. There's a lot there. It mainly deals with syntax and grammar and parts of speech. And then it also, in the West chapter, it also talks about the language acquisition device, which is another area you'll want to read very closely. So what are our assignments for Mod 4? The discussion is a choice, and again, this can be a personal connection or you can connect it to the course materials. The Module 4 assignments are a choice, and that is where you are creating an activity or creating a list. And if you would like to create that activity, if you would like to do the activity choices, you can use a modified version of the lesson plan template. And I have explained that in the assignment description in the module folder. Please remember with the assignments to include a reference list and in-text citations to the coursework, and then also please include that heading. The other assignment for everybody is the self-evaluation quiz and the e-learning journal reflection. The reading for this week is Chapter 3 in the West textbook. It's kind of an intense read. There's, like I said, there's lots of vocabulary. It talks a lot about sentence diagramming, and probably one of the more difficult chapters in our textbook. Module 4 due dates. The discussion is due Saturday, and then everything else will be due Sunday. As always, email with questions. I would like to apologize for the sound of this video. I got a new laptop from Grandview recently, yesterday to be exact, and I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out the mic volume. So I apologize for the in and out, and hopefully I can figure that out before I do another one of these recordings. Have a great weekend, everyone.